And so I want to remind us of something. You see, beloved brothers and sisters, how did you and I come to be in Nottingham? How did you and I come to be in England? Look, every day on the television, in the newspaper, in the magazines, you will hear Jewish people talking about a Holocaust, talking about something that happened to them, and as a result of what happened to them, they're saying that they need to have reparations, they need to have the damage repaired that was done to them in the 40s during the Second World War. Now, beloved brothers and sisters, they are reminding the world continuously that something was done to them which still ill affects them, and they want that which was done to be repaired. And they also demand back their wealth which was siphoned away from them into Swiss banks. They want back artifacts, they want back material which was stolen, because they don't feel whole as a people in the absence of that which they lost. Even though today they have other things which they've garnered to themselves since that time, they still want to reattach themselves with their historical reality in order to become a whole people again. Why do I say this? Because, beloved brothers and sisters, how many of you have been to the doctor? And when you went to the doctor, the first question that the doctor asked you was, have you suffered from these symptoms before? Or, what are the symptoms? How do you feel? What's the problem? Then you say, well, doctor, you know, I've been having these headaches for several weeks, whatever. He says, well, when did it begin? Well, about 5 months ago. Well, did you have any other things happen to you before that, whatever? The doctor is tracing back into the history of your problem. He's got to know what's happening with you in order to effectively cure the problem today, in order that you can have a better and more healthful future. Do you know that there's no historian that can show you a history of black people coming out of Africa, going to somebody else's country and conquering them, subjecting them, destroying them, doing anything of that nature to other people? We never done it. I say that because I want some of us to get the notion out of our heads that we, well, you know, everybody is the same. White people have done bad things, black people have done bad things as well. Get that madness out of your head. You need to stop thinking this, look. Because somebody has taught you that everybody is the same. Okay, the white man's done evil, but what about all the evil that black people have done as well? And then you go along with that, lumping yourself in, roping yourself in with a man that you know nothing about. We were in Africa minding our own business. They came to us. They put us in chains. Some people will tell you, yeah, but there was slavery in Africa before. Well, let's deal with that. What are you talking about? Do you know, beloved brothers and sisters, that in Africa, in our ancient civilizations, there was no such thing as a prison? We didn't have jails. What we had was societies based on freedom, justice, and equality. And if you transgressed the laws of the society, there was a penalty that you paid for the transgression of that particular law. That penalty could be something like you would serve another family, or you would serve the community. Now in the modern era in this country, they actually have a thing that they call community service, which is an alternative to sending you to prison. In Africa, that's how we dealt with our social problems, via community service. And in community service, you could still get married, you could still earn a living, you could still do all of the normal things, but you had a duty to society based on some transgression of a law that you had broken. And that's what the European now points the finger to and calls slavery. Because the people were disallowed to do certain things, and they were forced to do other things in order to recompense for a crime that they had committed within the society. But beloved brothers and sisters, There was never a time in our history as black people that we put chains on people, destroyed people by taking away from them their language, their culture, their God. There was never a time when we forced people to work from what they say, from morning till night. Never a time when we did that without pay, and then took away from the people their humanity and lowered them to the level of the lower animals. We never did that. The first time that was ever done on planet Earth was when the European came to Africa, captured you and I, and destroyed us as a human reality. But let me say this, beloved. The scripture says, a good name is worth more than silver and gold. A good name is worth more than silver and gold. This is a lectern. You don't call it a piece of wood, even though it's made from wood. Hey, when you're going to talk tonight, use that piece of wood there for lean upon it. You have immediately devalued the lectern. It's a lectern. You use the proper terminology because that's its name. Your name is Sister Susan. I turn around and call you, hey Susie, come here now. It doesn't sound right. And you should never allow anyone to call you out of your name. Nicknames. Nick, by the way, Nick comes from devil. Old Nick. When you allow people to call you by a nickname, they're actually calling you by what they call a devil's name. You should never allow anyone to nickname you or to call you out of your name. They took away your name and my name when they brought us on a westerly course. You've all seen it in Roots. And when we arrived, the torture, the humiliation, the destruction wasn't over. In fact, it was just beginning. That's right. Where they systematically now robbed us of our name, our language. See, Kunta Kinte was not allowed to speak his own language. If he tried to, they would beat him. And eventually they beat the language out of him and his ancestors down the generations. Not allowed any longer to be called Kunta Kinte. Your name is now Toby. Toby. Or Paul. Or Tommy. Or Carol. Winifred. Whatever that means. But they gave us these new names. Okay, beloved brothers and sisters, why have you given us these names? And why are you and I sitting around here reveling in these names? It is essential that you and I recognize that which has happened to us, why it's happened to us, and how we are to now change what has happened to us. We are suffering from collective amnesia because it wasn't a short time, it was 400 years. My brother Michael calls it a 400-year-old lesson. Imagine being in class for 400 years and then you come out of the class for 1 year and you got teachers outside of that class trying to teach you against what you were taught for 400 years. The teacher teaching you now is got like an impossible task because you are a 400-year-old student. And what's been the lesson that you've been taught? Listen to the lesson. Slavery was no accidental thing. Slavery was no haphazard thing. Slavery was no thing that just a few Caucasians were involved in. It was the totality of European commerce and trade. Beloved, do you know that the first generation of slaves, they made the black man and the black woman copulate together? And then once the sister became pregnant and had the babies, do you know that they killed the mother of the baby and killed the father of the baby? This is how wicked these people were. But do you think they just did that for fun? No, they didn't. The reason why they killed the mother, the reason why they killed the father is because the mother and the father is the steward of the new life. And every baby needs a mother and father. And in the absence of a mother and father, there was no mother tongue. No mother to teach the child language. In the absence of the father, no father's name. So now you got no mother tongue, no father's name. You are an empty vessel, a receptacle. And then they came with the 400-year-old lesson. What was the 400-year-old lesson? The lesson was, you are a nigger. You are nothing. You have never contributed anything to society, nor will you ever. We, the Europeans, Caucasians, we came to Africa and we found you in the trees with a bone in your nose. And we came and civilized you. And we, in fact, did you a favor. Now, there isn't one of you in this room that has not heard that story in one form or another. Black people are nothing, black people ain't done nothing, black people are this, black people are that, and Europeans are our benefactors. But in the absence of a proper knowledge of self, anyone can come and teach you anything. And over a period of 400 years, believe it or not, beloved brothers and sisters, you and I began to believe it. And in 1999, the vast majority of black people believe it. And today, if you're not careful, you will find black people who are actually apologists. We are apologists for white supremacy. If I stand up and tell the truth against the white man, the first one to attack me will be another black one. Oh yeah, yes. Boy, that's terrible, Leo, man. You can't say that. Why, that's racism, brother, man. I mean, I'm down with the black thing and that, but I'm not into the racist business. Well, it's not racism. It's just truth. But when the truth comes, it sounds strange because you've been so exposed to lies.